So the question is this a terrible time to buy a house? And there's no question. Mortgage rates just hit 8% in the last 24 hours, which means it is becoming increasingly less affordable to buy a house here in San Diego County and across the nation, but especially here in San Diego County. It feels like it's getting a little bit crazy. Now, my name is Dan Parker, your San Diego real estate resource, and I make videos on moving to San Diego, living in San Diego, and San Diego real estate. And this is a series where I answer your questions and your comments. Specifically, the question or comment that we have today is from CaptureCat88. Thanks for leaving this comment, CaptureCat. He or she has said, I've seen so many price reductions all over San Diego, from oceanside houses to downtown condos. Right now is simply a terrible time to buy for anyone. Prices will continue to slide while high-income renters continue to save their cash. And there's absolutely some truth to what you're saying. I'm seeing some price reductions as well. And there are some opportunities. In fact, when you look at renting versus owning, which, here's a quick little plug. I did an entire video on renting versus owning. And the conclusion is, if you prioritize how much money you're spending every single month, the same model match house, one that you purchase and put 20% down versus one that you will rent in this market, you're going to end up paying significantly more on a monthly basis for that home that you own. But of course, that's not the only that's not the only factor for your decision-making process. There are a lot of other benefits to owning a house. The other question is, yes, it's a terrible time to buy a house right now by a lot of regards. It's very unaffordable. There are very few homes to choose from, and there still are a lot of bidding wars. We're seeing those left and right now. But what are the other benefits? And do we see any other, do we see things changing moving forward? Do we see things getting better? And I think that is the main question is, yes, now it sucks to buy a house, but what does it look like in the next 6 months? What does it look like in the next 12 months? What can we anticipate? And is it going to be a good investment if you can buy a house right now? Or does it make more sense to stash aside $1,000 or $2,000 a month to go towards owning a house? I think that's ultimately what the question is. And a lot of times what we're looking at is we can have this kind of bias when we're just looking at price reductions or we're just looking at individual houses instead of looking at the market as a whole. And that's kind of how we're going to break it down in this video. So the next thing I want to show you is, number one, affordability is down significantly. And what that means is, with 8% mortgage rate versus 3%, which we had about a year and a half ago, maybe a little over a year and a half ago, we had a 3% mortgage rate. So with an 8% mortgage, if you're buying $1 million house, putting 20% down, you're talking $7,000 a month. You're just under or right around $7,000 a month is what it's going to cost you for that house. And that's including property tax, that's including homeowners insurance, but that's all in around $7,000 a month. If that same house, let's just say that home values hadn't increased, which they have on top of this, but that's still that $1 million house with a 3% rate, you're looking at around a $4,500 mortgage payment. So that is a 55% increase just because of mortgage rates going up. That is a significant impact on affordability in the negative way. The next thing that you need to consider is the demand. How is this actually affecting demand? And I'll tell you, this is probably the lowest demand that we've ever seen in San Diego County. If you're looking at this chart here, this is year over year. The blue line is 2023. And when we're looking at demand, this is how many homes have gone pending or how many accepted offers have there been throughout the course of the month. That's how we're calculating demand in this scenario. So we're at one of the lowest points that we've ever seen right here. Demand is down. The problem is supply is down as well. But we are seeing expected market time. So this is a chart going back every single 2 months. This is on a 2-month basis since 2012. So this is going back 10 years. And what we're seeing here on the very far right, expected market time is inching up. So the amount of time a home is on the market before it sells is increasing over time. But if we're looking at it throughout the course of the last 10 years, we're still, it's not at a crazy level yet. Yes, it is rising, but we're not even in neutral market territory yet. The industry standard for neutral market is 90 days. We're almost at 60. So there's still a pretty significant gap. And the other thing to consider is this isn't just affordability. This isn't just rates. This isn't just the quantity of homes for sale. This also is a normal seasonality that we see here in San Diego County. And if you notice, this isn't a straight line. There's a lot of peaks and valleys. It goes up, it goes down. And what you'll notice is the peaks generally, almost every single year, happen in the winter months, right? So market time increases in those winter months. And so this is something that we see year over year. And same with here on the demand year over year. It starts to drop near the end of this chart. So in the beginning of the year and the end of the year, it kind of flows through. And it makes sense, right? There are fewer people wanting to sell in the winter months. It's typically the people that need to sell. There are also typically fewer buyers out there. So we're looking at normal seasonality things plus a very, very interesting and challenging market at the same time. And the question is, all right, well, when are we actually going to see a change? When are rates going to come down? When is affordability going to go up? And what we can tell you is a lot of this has to do with the Fed funds rate and what the Fed is doing. And what we have kind of come to the conclusion, and when I say we, I'm saying a lot of the economists that are out there, a lot of the industry professionals, they're kind of saying the same thing right now. We kind of originally were hoping and expecting for rates to start to come down at the end of this year. It's obvious that that's not happening anymore. And more what we're seeing is, yes, rates are going to come down, but we're probably not going to see them for another 6 months. Maybe towards the end of 2024 is where we're going to start to see those decreases. And this is saying right here that the Fed funds rate is expected to decline by the end of 2024, but not by much, and largely later in the year. Markets broadly anticipate a 1% decline in the Fed funds rate to between 4% and 5% by the end of 2024, yet any rate decline is loaded towards the second half of 2024, with cuts mostly happening starting June or later. So a couple things here. One, we can anticipate the market is going to change and affordability is going to get better once those rates start coming down. But we have a little bit of time before that's happening. And because we're in a market right now where not a lot is changing, I don't anticipate a lot to change over the next 6 months until that happens. And again, with the seasonality of things, we typically see more homes hitting the market when we're starting to go into summer. A lot of people are selling their homes based on their kids' schools and the timing of their schools. And so I think leading up to this next year, because people are holding on to those 3% rates, if rates start to come down heading into those summer months, a lot of people already have it in their minds that they're going to stay put. However, a lot of buyers are going to be sitting on the sidelines waiting to get in. And once that affordability gets better, inventory is going to kind of stay the same and demand is going to go up. I think that's the most likely scenario. Of course, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I think that's the most likely scenario. I also think it's interesting, and I don't want to make light of any of this, but if you go over to my Instagram page, here's just a specific plug for my Instagram page. There's this really interesting video here from 1980 where median home prices in San Diego County hit $85,000. It's really interesting to hear what they're saying about how nobody's going to be able to afford a house anymore because prices have gone so high. These types of things happen and they happen again. And yes, it seems very, very difficult to own a house right now. But over time, home values are going to go up. So back to this original question, let's pull it back up on the screen. I've seen so many price reductions all over San Diego, from oceanside houses to downtown condos. Right now is a terrible time to buy. So just wait, hold on to your cash. What do you guys think? Do you think prices are going to come down? I think the most likely scenario is over the next 6 months, we're not going to see a lot of change. Values might come down a little bit because of the seasonality of things, because we're heading into those winter months. But as we hit the beginning of next year, just like we hit the beginning of this year, and buyers decided to get back in the market, I think we're going to see the same thing again. And if you can't afford a house right now, it doesn't mean it's right for everybody. But there absolutely is some value in the thought that you can get a house now and potentially have the opportunity to refinance in the next 12 to 24 months and avoid crazy bidding wars, which is what I imagine we're going to see again. It wasn't that long ago that it was pretty average to offer or have to offer $50, $100, $150, $200 plus $1,000 over the asking price. So if you had the opportunity to rent versus own right now, let's say renting will save you $2,000 a month. You save up for a year, you're looking at $24,000. Well, if we're back to bidding wars that are 50 to 100 over asking on average, you're going to eat up that money immediately. Of course, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen, but it absolutely is a possibility. Well, I appreciate you watching. Leave your comments and questions down below. Let me know what you think about my response, and just let me know exactly how wrong I am. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Well, Didn't mean to do that.